Hi everyone. Today I'm working on this tower defense game which I started a long time ago, and just wanted to add a few things and see where we can go from there, because when I started building this Fxgl was like, I don't know, it was a couple of years ago. There are some new cool features in Fxgl now, so I'd like to try and use them and then see where we can go from there. So I just added the waypoint thing, so you can see that our enemies are nicely following this path in front of them. This path is actually taken from this TMX level data, and currently what it uses is a polygon, because that's the only thing that I could find in tiled that gives us an ordered sequence of points, and that sequence can essentially define waypoints, and this ultimately results in a path that goes from, why is it not showing? Oh, that's why. So it goes like this. It's a polygon. It's supposed to be a polyline because it need not be closed, but currently Fxgl only passes polygons. So I needed to just add this one extra line at the very end, connecting the penultimate, well, I suppose the last point with the starting point. But I'll get rid of that once Fxgl supports polylines. Then we've got these tower bases, if you will, which we can use to build towers. And that's, I think, what I'm going to do now, because currently there's this tower icon which was supposed to be like you click on it and then you click on one of the tower bases. But then that icon also kind of occupies UI space, which I don't really want to have, because imagine you have 10 towers and that's going to occupy quite a big chunk of the screen, which we don't want. Because for the UI, I assume there are a few things that we'll need to add, and things like the amount of money that the player has and stuff like that. So my current idea is, which is kind of borrowed from some of the tower defense games, you click on the tower base and then you're given the options, like the tooltip almost, and gives you a list of things that you can use. So I'll try to do that. And I've got a tower icon, which is the thing that is displayed. So that circular thing that you saw in the UI space, that is, well, essentially this class. So what I'd like to do is to have a bunch of towers, which are going to be the identical towers just read from the single JSON. These are going to be read into something. Here, that will go. And then if we do 10 of these things, let's do 10 because 10 is a good number. So load tower data. Tower data needs to be stored somewhere. So let's store that in here. You can see that the code is a lot of mess at this point, because it's the legacy code, legacy Fxgl version, and then the new code and the new version, so everything's kind of merged. I'll have to clean it up at some point. But for now, I don't know where this is going, so I'll leave the cleanup for later. Tower data. Or towers. Tower data. Now let's go with that for now. That's done, so just get rid of that. Signboard data from the tower that shot it. Yeah, all of this stuff should go to some like tower component possibly. Yeah, that looks a bit better. We don't need that anymore. tower data, we'll just leave it uninitialized because we're going to do, we're going to load all of them just very easily using this, I hope. So I would imagine there is a list of names, tower names, which I'm going to load from somewhere, or just manually add, because that's the thing that we kind of know, so it's pre-built. Tower names, currently there's only one tower, so I'll just use that multiple times. That's 6. Okay, let's do 6, not 10. So we're going to go then, tower names, stream, we're going to map name to the actual tower object, tower data. That's this, right? Load JSON, it's towers plus that name, loaded as tower data class. And then map, well, that returns an optional. Let's get the actual object. And then what's going on with the formatting? Is it because of that? There we go. That's and then simply collect, I guess. Collect to list. And then tower data is here, and I don't need to do this anymore. Okay, so we've got our towers. There are 6 of them. We want to use that information to then populate some kind of a tooltip thing, like a panel that appears when I click on a cell. On cell clicked, we no longer spawn anything. This is where we need to show UI options. It's likely to be some kind of horizontal box which contains the tower icons, I think. Let's just run with this idea for a second and then we'll see. And obviously we don't need to, don't create more than once. So we need to cache this somewhere. Horizontal box, tower data for each data gets constructed, it gets converted into an icon. Using the icon, we then populate get children. The icon. So that's constructed. And now we need to show the horizontal box somewhere. Add UI node, for example, where the cell is. Cell is the tower base. Let's just see what this looks like. Not too bad for a draft. So I click on that thing, this thing appears, and then I select one of these things, so each icon needs to be clickable as well. That's fine. We also need to remove this at some point if the player clicks on something else. That's number 2. Number 3 is if I click on another tower base, the tooltip should go away from the last one and then reused there. And then finally, when I click on one of the icons, the tower will be built on that base. So 3-4 things to do. Let's move this into a class. Probably want to have something like UI as a package and put all the UI stuff there. Icon, and then tower selection, choice box, tower choice box, maybe selection box. That is a horizontal box. So this effectively becomes our thing that we just implemented in here. All I need to have to construct this thing is this, right? Which is that. Tower data for each, construct new icon, just get children, and then we want set spacing something like 5, and that looks good. I don't think there will be many towers, particularly considering that this is not going to be a full game, more of a demo like with any other Fxgl game. So I think horizontal box will do. If you're planning to turn this into a full game, maybe a grid pane will do the trick. If you're planning like 20 or 50 towers, I don't know. But this looks fine, which means I need to construct only one of these and then simply move it around inside the UI space whenever something happens. So init input for now, I'll just get rid of it because there's no input. That is directly handled by Fxgl. Everything seems to be done using nodes. Load tower data. Once it's loaded, I guess I can start constructing my thing, which is technically it's under UI, right? Ooh, that's a lot of stuff. Let's just get rid of it. In the UI, we need a reference first to this thing, tower selection box. Then we need to construct it inside UI, because by this point we already know that tower data is available. And that's it. I don't think we need to do anything else with it. So this is handled, this is handled, this goes away, this is not, well, this is needed, but somewhere else. This goes into selection box because each of the icons needs to be clickable on mouse clicked. How about we just delegate that back to a Fxgl application. Tower defense app, and then something. We need a function here that says something like on tower selected, and then the callback is the data that the user selected. Nice. And this whole thing works. Kind of. Tile selection box. What was the function? On tile selected data. Okay, cool. So that's removed from here, and we delegate it into here, which means we can handle everything in this class. Nice. On cell collect, we need to take this tile selection box, which is supposed to be in the user interface space. Should we add and then keep removing, or simply unhide, hide? Because ultimately this thing needs to move to where the user has clicked. And then when anything else is clicked, we need to hide that panel. Let's do the UI node trick. So we're going to add selection box to the user interface so that at least I don't have to worry about adding and removing it. On cell collect, we simply reposition, translate to where this thing is, and selection box set translate Y to where this thing is. Because there's only ever one thing, that solves the problem with duplicates, right? So that's one problem just gone by design. Now the other is how to actually get rid of it. Currently it's over there. If I click on this thing, it becomes kind of open here, here, and so on. That is fine. So how do I get rid of it when I click on something else? I could use an Fxgl input handler, because that will be notified at some point. I don't know when it is going to be notified, before or after. And what else? I assume there's something else that needs to be handled as well, because, oh, it's the cost, yeah, right. Because not all of them are going to be clickable based on the cost. So this needs to be taken into account. I wonder if we could cheat and then add an invisible pane. So that when we click on it, it disappears, kind of thing. Okay, let's try the simplest approach first, because if it works, it works. On button down, that's button primary. And then use get input get mouse X world and then Y, and then check if there's anything underneath. And then let's go from there. Right, so I can get the values, which is cool. And then if I click on the thing, I also get values, which is good. So if I click on that thing, yeah, so that's fine. What I need to do is check if there is an object there that is one of these. If it's there, then don't do anything. If it isn't there, then get rid of that thing. And then the actual getting rid of is maybe just setting visible to false. So in here, it needs to set visible true, and then by default, it's going to be false. And then finally, when I click and something, set visible false. I don't need to handle the true case because that will be handled by the node itself. Okay, so we kind of narrowed it down to this one if statement that we need to implement. And that if statement is basically going to say, if not clicked on one of the tower bases. So tower bases are actually a type, right? Yeah, so I can get all of them. I can do get game world, get entities by type, the type being tower base. Any match. So this returns true if any elements of the stream match the provided predicate. Good. Basically, if any of those entities is there, get bounding box component, get something. Range. What does that do? Forms a rectangle around the entity by extending min and max bounds with. So if I use just 0, then it's going to give me the bounds of it, I would assume. And if this rectangle contains the point, which is x and y, then there is a tower base. Is there tower base? If not, is there tower base? We're good, right? We set visible to false. And then any match this predicate. Why is it complaining? Missing return. Oh, can I just get rid of the return? Do something like this. Yeah. Let's try that. The tower base, does it have a bounding box though? Because if it doesn't, it won't work. We need to add one. View with bounding box. There we go. That should theoretically at least work. So no selection screen, no selection box rather. If I click on this thing, which is Good. Click on that thing, box appears. Click away, box disappears. Yeah, that seems to work. Nice. That was easier than I thought it would be. We don't need that statement anymore. Cool. Functional programming is great. Anyway, now we need to figure out how to select the thing that we want to select, and then so that it gets built there. It's not going to be much of a test because all of our towers are exactly the same and they use the same image. What images do we have? We have this thing, we have enemy. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's add a single dummy tower, another one. Call it tower 2. Name is tower 2 and the image is going to be enemy. Attack is 30 but the cost is 100. And then let's add some amount of money to the player, like 80, so they can construct this tower but they can't construct this tower. I don't know where to keep this thing called money, but I guess I'll just use this. Let's give it 80 units. Because this is an Fxgl variable rather than Java variable, I can listen for changes, I can bind to it, so I can easily bind my UI to say if the cost is not satisfied, meaning if we can't buy it, then don't kind of show the tower or make it kind of less stand out. Yes. Which should go into tower icon over here. So the cost is implemented, tooltip is implemented. Nice, almost everything is implemented. Let's clean up the imports. Text, children, and that's the text, that's the cost, stack pane. Right, let's do this here. So what do we want to change? First, let's run this. We need to actually see the 1-2-1-2 pattern in the game. So they're different towers. Okay, cool. So we have two variations of towers. Tower 1, Tower 2, 50 and 100. The second tower should not be available, shouldn't be able to click on it. And we also need to kind of convey that to the user as well. We can do that by making it less opaque, more transparent. I think that's the trick that people use. So opacity property, right? Bind, bindings. When we need to get the integer property called money. When this thing is greater than or equal to data cost, then we can buy it, otherwise we can't. So then it should be opacity fully opaque, otherwise 0.25, 25%. How about that? Yeah, kind of. I suppose I don't have to do the whole thing. I can do this stack pane or just this texture. Because I want the background to be visible. Otherwise it kind of looks odd. Yeah, I might add something there so it kind of has an outline or something. But for now, this looks fine. I can kind of use this, but I can't use that. So if I click on this thing, right, I assume the handling happens before it gets the Fxgl input handling system. Otherwise, we're clicking away before we can actually do something with the selection. Let's try that. So I clicked that, that worked. Right, so these don't work, meaning that the Fxgl's input system handles it before it gets to the icon click. Okay, so I'll have to fix that. That is going to be a lot harder to check because that is in the UI space. I don't actually have reference. Well, I could get a reference to it, but I don't want to calculate all this stuff. There must be an easier way to do this. For now, let's just focus on the thing that we did click. So suppose this actually works, then we're going to construct our tower. On tower selected, so we need to have some information about the cell, right? So this needs to get here. Which means the selection box needs to actually have some information about the cell. So that we can then pass that. Nope, did not mean to get there. So we can then pass it here on tower selected. The cell information needs to come here. Okay. Entity. Set cell. I guess get cell as well, although we don't need that. Let's just make sure that this thing is not null. Right, fair enough. Let's do it this way. So if the cell is not null, then we're passing the cell over here, and then using the cell's position, we're going to construct the tower. And I assume to construct the tower, we actually need some data to go with it. Tower component apparently does not even care, so it doesn't actually use this information, but it should in the future. So tower component, tower data, and then that will need to have tower data. This tower data gets passed in from here. New spawn data, this is the position. Right, at least we manage the architecture of it. So selected tower is no longer necessary because we're handling it slightly differently. This is also not needed. And then we need to remember to set the cell. Okay, let's try this. So that is there. The tower is now there. Meaning once we've done the thing, once we've selected it, which is here, we need to set visible to false again. So I can build a tower then. That doesn't work because it handles the click before it gets to the node. So how do we fix the getting to the node bit? I think we can cheat and add a large pane over the map, but not the tower bases, because that's the only thing that needs to be clickable. So these tower bases should be the top level entities, but then below it there is a map, right? Yeah, why not just use this? Because that entire map is a single entity. I can use the view component of that entity to detect clicks that are not tower base clicks. Okay, so we don't even, possibly we don't need to do this. Just come into the sound. Initialize game, set level from map. At this point we have the entities in the game. So I need to find the entity that is the tiled map entity. So it's get game world, get entities filtered, get. Right, so how do I identify if it's a tiled map entity? Okay, let's go to the source code of Fxgl and then find how it passes. That's an object layer. I need a tile. So the type is actually this, tiled map layer. It's good. So I can even get entities by type. Can I do this? No, because it expects an enum. I should be able to do this. Is type. And then this is a string. For each, let's just print this to the screen, to the terminal, and then see. There should be a few actually. Yeah, these are the three entities that represent these three layers. So there's decoration stuff, there's path, and there's ground. I think we can use all of them. Set on get view component, set on how do I add on click handler. This is event, and we need to just do this. Then everything is routed through the JavaFX event system, and Fxgl is not used. So I click on that thing, nothing. That. If I click on the tower, it built me a tower. Interestingly, that is a different tower, but it worked. And the clicking away also works. I can build this tower, I can try and build that tower. Okay, so apart from the wrong tower being built, although it correctly selects the tower, it's probably just the image that's being used that is not correct, because the actual data that's selected is the correct one, which is good. And finally, we just need to fix the placement. So we don't need this anymore because we know it works. Spawn tower data. Yeah, so it needs to use a different image, which we can obtain from here. So tower data, image name, and then tower data object goes in here. And then I think this is the last change. Nice. I can have different towers now. Perfect. Good. Right, so today we essentially built a tower selection box in this DevStream. I've now got a decent broadband connection, I think, so I might actually do live streams now. I need to figure out the connections, the infrastructure, and so on, because I've never done live streams on YouTube. I've done them with Teams, but that's completely different. And we might do something in the new year, which could be part of the New Year's resolution, I guess, or something. But in any case, it's the festive season now, so have happy holidays and take care. I'll see you in the new year.